Have you ever seen the before and after of a transition timeline on the internet? Usually the before photo shows someone looking really upset, really miserable, whereas the after shows someone radiating with joy. But the thing is, what if I made the before image this? That's a pretty happy image, right? If you have a fairly happy before image and a fairly happy after image, it doesn't really demonstrate why you did transition in the first place. I think it then implies, well, why'd you bother? Why'd you do this if you're happy before, right? The thing is, photos can't show every aspect of what transition does for you. It just can't. I think we like to act like it does, but it cannot. Sure, I had dysphoria when I was little, but I wasn't really too aware of it, right? It popped up here and there, right? And it was something that weighed in on me in the background over time and then became harder to ignore. But the fact of the matter is, I still lived a fairly regular childhood, all things considered. My routines as a little kid was fairly standard. You know, get out of bed, get ready for school, watch Pokemon on TV, play video games on my DS, go to school, talk to my friends, play handball excessively, that kind of thing. But that didn't mean I didn't have dysphoria. I still always picked the girl whenever I played Pokemon, and I really wanted to wear the girl's uniform at school, right? I was jealous of other girls, and that was still a part of my life. But there are still parts of joy in between that. We've accidentally socially constructed this idea that throughout the entirety of your transition, you have to be completely miserable to be like allowed to transition, right? And the fact of the matter is, you can live a really extraordinarily happy life, but still have dysphoria. You know, if for whatever reason, you feel like you'd be happier living as a different gender, that's reason enough, right? If you live a perfect happy life, but it'd be even better if you were able to wear skirts, or dresses, or pants, or suits, right? If something just feels better, that's worth pursuing. If the pros of transition outweigh the cons of transition, then transitioning is fine. When puberty started occurring for me, yeah, it was distressing, I didn't like it, right? However, there was a brief period of just trying to make it work, right? You kind of go with it for a little bit, but then over time it weighs on you and you're like, this isn't really working, right? And truth be told, in case you don't know, I experienced testosterone puberty the whole way through, and I didn't start hormones until I was 21. Throughout my whole teenage life, I had testosterone as my primary hormone. I didn't like how it felt, but I tried to make do as best I could. Didn't really work. I would have preferred to have access to estrogen, but I didn't feel like I was able to obtain that, you know, puberty blockers, that kind of thing at the time. I would have probably vastly preferred to have been able to transition back then, but I wasn't able to, simply put. I was able to wear clothes that felt nice in secret or when at friends' houses, and that was a really important aspect of me making my teenage life a bit better. But that's not to say that it was all miserable. There was stuff in high school I could look forward to back then. There was Japanese class where I really enjoyed learning the language and playing guitar in music class. It was really fun and I have a lot of positive memories through it, right? There's still happy moments. I remember in like various lunch times playing Pokemon Sun and Moon with friends and would all be like in a circle playing that Battle Royale game mode, and my Oricorio cleaning house and being deemed an ultimate bird of destruction. I understand this is a YouTube channel about my trans experience, right? For the most part, these videos focus on the very trans-specific moments of my life. But I don't want to paint the picture that everything that's happened to me fits a perfect trans narrative. Because if I just have these photos, you would probably assume up until I was 21, I did nothing and I was miserable. But once it's this image, suddenly I had a life of joy, right? We can be a bit selective about what images we use. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, I feel like we have a feeling we need to validate how trans we are or how much we need transition because of how many people will try to deny you of transition, right? It's pretty normal for people to emphasize certain parts of their past to make them sound more stereotypically transgender. The thing is, we still are transgender. It's just the way people are like augmenting their narratives to gain approval, I guess. I feel like there's a lot of infighting amongst trans people. We try to sound more trans than each other and push each other down. But the thing is, I'm not morally a better trans person just because I fit those stereotypical boxes, right? I feel like we need to understand that fitting stereotypes or looking a certain way or being a certain way doesn't make you superior to other trans people. And a way people try to sound more superior, I guess, is to emphasize how miserable they were before transition. You might hear stories of people hiding under tables, being absolutely terrified of wearing the boys' uniform for the first time in their lives or something. Yeah, that does happen. But that doesn't make you like better or worse than someone. That's just someone that needs trans affirming care to help them out, right? That's no different than someone else that needs trans affirming care. Maybe they figure it out later, or maybe it feels less urgent, but they still need it. You know what I mean? It unfortunately skews the conversation about transition, and instead of making it like a gaining more joy, it only emphasizes the getting rid of despair. And the issue is, if someone's watching a bunch of trans videos, for example, and they're thinking, oh, I wish I could transition, but I'm fairly happy all things considered, then that person might feel like they're not allowed to transition. And the thing is, that's up to the individual. Do what you want. You don't have to have memories of literally crying when you had to wear a suit. You can still passively feel uncomfortable in a suit, but perhaps still have had a nice time or have nice memories of when you were wearing one. For example, if you went to a school formal in gendered clothing that you didn't like, but you still had a nice night, that doesn't take away that you had a nice night and had a nice time, but it also doesn't mean you don't have dysphoria, right? You can still be dysphoric and still have good memories, right? But if you feel then after the transitioning so that later on in life you can wear a dress, for example, that's good. Why not? I don't have too many memories of my school formal. I admit mine was a little uneventful, but the cool part was at one point they started playing the Nutbush really loud through the speakers, which if you've grown up in Australian schooling, you've likely done the dance to this one song hundreds of times. So there was kind of a full circle moment kind of feel to like everyone doing it together, you know? I think like that was a pretty positive memory, actually. So even if I was wearing something that by all accounts, I would never show you a photo of me wearing it, but I still had fun. And acting like that moment was completely depressing and miserable and awful skews the picture. I had a nice night, yes, but dang, the outfit I was wearing made me feel pretty bad. If you've had relationships, for example, that were still positive, but you're doing it as a gender that didn't feel right, it's still fine to be nostalgic or have positive memories of that relationship, and you don't have to de-emphasize its impact on your life when talking to people you trust. My sexuality is still a bit of an enigma, lovely audience. I haven't quite figured it out yet. Currently, the running theory is I think I'm heteroromantic and asexual, but I had a 3-year relationship with a woman when I was in high school, right? And that was a pretty positive relationship, all things considered, relative to the age I was. It's not a bad thing if I'm nostalgic for that relationship or moments in it. There's some nice warm memories, but the relationship ended for a reason, and that's fine. It was on good terms. But at the end of the day, I can still reflect on it. I don't have to act like it didn't happen. I also don't need to like retroactively like pretend things are different in my memories, if that makes sense. You can alter the truth a little when talking to people you're not fully out to, that kind of thing, if you're like stealth, for example. But at least when thinking for yourself, try not to forget too much of what you had before. Think of transition more like a really sudden stat buff that gives you more strength to handle the challenges ahead. It's not necessarily New Game Plus where you start over. Those things you did before, those skills you've gained, those moments, those hobbies, those fun memories, they can coexist with a post-transition you. And that's fine. You don't have to be so miserable that it would rival a D&D rogue's backstory. No, you can have a happy life and still transition. and that's fine. I hope this video showed that you don't have to meet idealized standards to be able to transition. And equally so, if you had a happy life, you're allowed to make a decision to make it happier. You don't have to be content, right? It's okay to try to find more happiness, right? That's fine. Even if you've had a lot of sad experiences, that doesn't exclude you from transition either. You're allowed to transition if you want either way. There's no right or wrong backstory, so to speak. So, whatever your circumstance, I hope that transition brings you what you're searching for. And if you got to the end of this video and realized maybe you're just cis and liked gender non-conforming outfits or that kind of thing, that's fine too, by the way. So like, just do what you want, right? If you're very early in the gender journey, so to speak, feel free to look up stuff like transgender woman, transgender man, maybe look into femboys, cross-dressers, that kind of thing, and see if different labels suit you, maybe like demi-boy, demi-girl. Do what you want. Feel free to share a happy memory in the comments so everyone can read it, and the comment section can become this like massive positivity wall of memories and happiness. And it makes it more fun for me to read, right? So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the funny like button, comment something really friendly, subscribe, ring the funny bell icon, and if you want to see more about transgender experience, you're in luck. I upload a video every week. We've been going strong for a few years now. How do I do it every week? I don't know. I just really like doing this, to be honest. But that said, as always, you're valid. I'm proud of you. Stay hydrated and know that you are valid. I'll see you next week.